Breaking ground on the program today from American Public Media. This is Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by C3 Generative AI. Verifiable, traceable answers, secure, hallucination-free, LLM-agnostic, IP liability-free. C3.ai. This is Enterprise AI. And by Odoo, designed to save time on business management with one simple user-friendly software. ODOO.com. Everything any business will ever need.
In Los Angeles, I'm Kai Rizdal. It is Monday today, the 26th of August. Good as always to have you along, everybody. You know, the thing about this job is that you get to go places and you get to talk to people that make the things that make this economy go. Sometimes that's people in private companies, sometimes it's people in government, and sometimes it's both. The federal government is investing more than $42 billion through the Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment Program, BEAD for short. It's part of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. $42 billion to get every household in this country connected to high-speed internet. And along the way, scale up a U.S.-based supply chain in complicated, invisible, and sometimes even contradictory ways. For today's installment of our series Breaking Ground, a technical story on how we get our Wi-Fi, how fiber internet actually gets made and delivered to the home.
Hey, Kai, how you doing? Pat Jacoby here in Cincinnati.
Nice to talk to you, Pat. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us and to go in the studio, right? You're in Cincinnati, public radio, right?
I am.
Excellent.
Yeah, first time ever in a radio studio.
Well, there you go. First time for everything. And I'm about to have my first chance in a fiber optic plant. So, turnabout is fair play.
You'll enjoy it.
Patrick Jacoby is the Senior Vice President of Digital Solutions in North America for Prysmian. That's an Italian company, plants and offices all over the world. Pat is in charge of Prysmian's fiber optic cable business on this continent.
We have 29 plants here in North America. I am one of only 3 manufacturers in the United States to draw our fiber and make our cable here in the United States.
I'll say that again. There are only 3 companies, Prysmian, Corning, and CommScope by name, that make fiber and cable that meet federal manufacturing standards and that make it in the United States at a time when the government is trying to massively expand access to that technology. Optical fiber is the state-of-the-art way to get high-speed internet. Super thin glass, like human hair thin, that carries light, data that gets you the internet. For people who can't get into a plant and see it, describe what happens?
Yeah, so try to keep it as simple as I can, right? So we take a 2-inch diameter glass tube. We fill it with a bunch of gases. We heat it up really, really high. We build that tube up to a point where it's the size of let's say like a 2-liter, except for it's a 6-foot long.
Like a 2-liter soda bottle.
Yeah, like a 2-liter soda bottle.
Yeah.
Think of it like a 6-foot long one, though, right?
Okay.
And so take it to the tower at the top of our building. You hit it with a high amount of heat, and you let gravity do the rest. And so that glass starts to melt down into a single strand of glass that's about the size of a human hair, and it goes up on a little plastic bobbin at the bottom.
That's amazeballs.
Right?
I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, I try to simplify it, and you get in there and you see it, and you're like, you know what? Pat's not crazy. It is. It does sound like that. And my technical team and my guys in house will be like, man, Pat, you butchered that. Like, really, you couldn't do a better job technically explaining it. But to give you the visual.
Yeah, producers always describe what I do better than I describe what I do. So I hear what you're saying. We'll get the firsthand visuals in a minute. We'll take you on a tour. But we should say here, Prysmian isn't going to be getting any of the BEAD money directly. It goes from the feds to the states to internet service providers. But those ISPs are going to be buying their fiber, millions of miles of it, from Prysmian and the rest. Can you help me understand why the industry needs federal funding? What can it do that private dollars can't or maybe won't?
Yeah, so the industry overall, I think, needs the federal funding because it needs the boost. Because at the end of the day, it's one thing to run a line to me or you that's in city centers. But when you're talking about running a single fiber line out to a farmer's home in the middle of Oklahoma, the return of investment is not there, right? To run that single fiber line miles out into the country to connect one household, that's one of the biggest challenges we've had is from a size and scale of our country and getting everyone connected. It's a financial challenge.
This is the government in this economy, creating a supply chain to connect homes in hard-to-reach places that industry on its own just wouldn't touch. There are, of course, lots of ways that people get their internet in this country other than fiber, coaxial cable and satellite. But the Commerce Department wants states to spend their BEAD money on fiber internet. It's more easily scalable. It's got a longer lifespan than old-style cable. And the experts we spoke to said the same thing. The feds have another requirement as well, and it's a biggie. BEAD money can only be spent on American-made fiber.
Beautiful morning here in North Carolina. We got the birds. We got the sunshine. We get paid for this.
Catawba County, North Carolina is home to manufacturing facilities for all three fiber and cable makers that Pat Jacoby mentioned a minute ago. It's about an hour northwest of Charlotte, and since the BEAD program was announced, fiber optic cable manufacturers have announced hundreds of millions of dollars in investments here, making a bet that those $42 billion federal dollars are actually going to get out the door.
Thanks. Oh my God, cast of thousands here. Hi, I'm Cotton.
McCray Walters.
Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Welcome to Claremont.
Prismian's manufacturing facility in Catawba County, it's in the city of Claremont specifically, is huge. It's the company's biggest factory, 1.2 million square feet. It's also rare in the world of fiber optics. It's the only Prismian plant in the world that produces both the optical fiber, the glass we get the internet through, and the cables that fiber is bundled into that wind up on the utility poles outside your house.
We require safety-toed shoes while we're here, so we've got a variety of shoe covers for you.
Nice. They're like steel-toed strap-ons, basically?
They are. That's exactly what they are for you all to wear in our facility in the fiber and the cable plant.
McCray Walters is the Environment and Sustainability Manager here. She's making sure we're wearing goggles and neon vests as well, and she gives us a quick safety briefing.
Don't touch anything. So we make glass. So hot glass looks the same as cold glass.
After all that PPE, we made our way to the fiber plant first. Mark Smith, he is the Fiber Selection and Customer Care Manager, led the way.
Welcome to Claremont Fiber and Cabling Facility.
We were at this facility for about 3 hours, and we're not going to show you every step of this manufacturing process or introduce you to everybody we met because, like I said, this is a very technical story. But we are going to show you how the future of the internet in this country gets made.
Gotcha. All right, where are we headed? We're going to head to the first airlock to get us onto the production floor.
So there's an airlock. It's basically a clean room, right?
Yes, we're going to be walking into a clean room.
So I put on a lab coat here, too, over everything else. Since optical fiber is made of glass, the place where they make it is heavily controlled. Humidity or dust can ruin the whole process.
All right, goggles, vest, white lab coat, steel-toed shoes. Yes? Oh, goggles, right.
Goggles on.
Yeah.
About 280 people work in the fiber plant right now. 12-hour shifts starting at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., making more than 12 million miles of fiber a year. Remember, fiber is the first step in the manufacturing process that eventually gets internet to your home or business.
So this is a little loud in here.
Tell me what we're looking at.
This is the start of the process. So this is what we call...
We're looking at the glass tube that Pat Jacoby was telling me about up at the top of this story. It's thin, about 2 inches in diameter, like he said, before they heat it up and add more glass and chemicals and make it about as wide as a 2-liter soda bottle.
All right, the sign says plasma.
All right, we take fine, very pure silica sand. which can only be found 2 places in the world. One is North Carolina.
No,
and the other-
really?
yeah, exactly. It's North
That's
Carolina.
kind of cool. Can I go in there and look?
You can't go inside there.
No,
It's
I
very
mean, up
hot.
to the-
But
up
yeah,
to the
you can
window.
go. You can
Yeah.
go up to the window and look.
I didn't want to cross that black and yellow tape. You know.
Oh no. Yeah, you're
All
good.
right.
Yeah, you can look inside the window. Just
All right,
inside
tell
the
me what I'm
box.
looking at.
What we're doing is we're flowing sand down onto that and growing it in size. It's got a.
Yeah, it's getting bigger, right?
Yeah, you can kind of see how it's a little bit bigger on the right.
Yeah.
So it's traversing down and it's putting sand on there, and that.
What is that blue flame? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, that's a flume. It's about 10,000 degrees Celsius. So we're not going to go in there.
No, we're not going to go in there.
You'd get a heck of a tan.
Just once, though.
Yeah, exactly.
This sand flume machine thing is also measuring the glass inside, getting it up to the exact diameter it needs to be until it becomes what they call the preform, the bigger soda bottle wide glass tube that they then stretch out into that really thin fiber.
All right, now where are we?
We're coming into draw.
All right.
So what
and
we're
draw
gonna
means what?
Draw is where we're going to take that preform
Yeah.
and we're going to draw it down. That big preform that you saw
that we
growing
just saw
in there.
getting with the plasma, yeah.
Yep, we're going to draw it down to 125 microns.
125 microns is close to table salt or human hair in size. This is how teeny tiny the technology that gives us our internet is, and also why making it requires so much precision.
I've got presents.
Oh, nice.
This is actually the very start of the process. This is
So
what we
it's-
call is a gob.
I'm sorry, it's a gob? G-O-B gob?
G-O-B gob. This is what we call a gob.
Mark handed me an 8-inch long piece of glass that gets thicker down to the bottom, kind of like a long teardrop. That's where the preform started to melt and stretch down. Even though you will never see the gob, this is one step of the process of manufacturing what to us is high-speed internet, and it starts all the way up at the top floor of this building.
So if you look up, you can
All right,
see.
wait. Okay.
So if you look,
that's the preform.
that's the preform coming
Yeah.
in, and it's getting heated in this furnace. So you got that big, ginormous piece of glass.
Yeah. So it's, we went from this 2 and 3 inch diameter rod. That's like 6 or 8 right now. Maybe even bigger.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
I love the way you're like, yeah, something like that. Whatever.
give or take.
Yeah.
Right, and then between that, going into there,
Yeah.
and right there, there's 125 microns.
Oh, no. So look at that. So in the space of like 8 or 9 feet, it goes from huge
to 125
to
microns.
125 microns. Oh, and there it comes out the bottom.
Yep, and it's coming out and it's going down. It's getting cooled.
Wow. That's crazy.
We went down a bunch of flights of stairs to go from the start of that draw process to the end.
So we started on 6, and the gobs go all the way down to 1?
All the way down to 1.
Huh.
They do kind of assist it to get down here because this little guy is not going to make it all the way down.
Gravity
by
only
itself.
goes so far.
So once they get it thinned down, they'll get some coating on it. But this is actually where it goes onto this reel as a finished product.
The finished fiber literally looks like thread on a larger than average spool. The biggest ones at this facility have up to 500 kilometers of fiber on them. That's 300 plus miles. This is the manufacturing process. 6 floors, lots of clean rooms, hundreds of employees, all manipulating glass so it's at the exact proportions for the best possible internet connection. After the break, how they know the fiber actually works and how they get it ready to put up on those utility poles.
The Numbers is supported by Odoo.com, your entire business on one platform. Marketplace is supported by Modern Treasury, dedicated to helping businesses thrive in a fast-paced world. Modern Treasury is built to move, track, and reconcile money in real time using instant payment rails and smart workflows. ModernTreasury.com. Payment operations built for the instant economy. And by WordPress VIP. Media, enterprise, and government websites worldwide trust WordPress VIP to run, grow, and secure their sites. Content production can be streamlined with the ease and flexibility of WordPress. WordPressVIP.com.
You're listening to Marketplace here on WBEZ.
We're wrapping up summer the best way we know how. WBEZ presents Vocalo's Summer Finale. Join us Friday, September 20th at J. Pritzker Pavilion for an evening of music, dancing, and community. Learn more at WBEZ.org/events.
Coming up at 5 o'clock on WBEZ, it's All Things Considered. The CEO of the messaging app Telegram has been arrested by French authorities. And we'll hear about the challenge in getting Gen Z to organize beyond social media. That's coming up at 5 o'clock.
WBEZ is supported by CertaSun, a locally owned solar and energy storage installer, providing custom designs and help with Illinois' solar programs. More at CertaSun, CertaSun.com/WBEZ.
Our entire area is affected by excessive heat. Highs around 96 today with the heat index over 100. Tomorrow will be the hotter of the next 2 days. We also have an air quality alert in effect. It's 92 in Cherville. We have 96 degrees in Mundelein, and it's 95 in Wheaton. Let's head back to Marketplace on WBEZ.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Rizdal. We are spending today's program at the Prysmian Cable and Fiber Manufacturing Facility in Claremont, North Carolina. Prysmian is one of the 3 companies that make this fiber and cable in the United States and make it to federal standards. And as $42 billion worth of BEAD money, that's the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, as that money rolls out into the economy, their product, fiber and the cable it gets bundled into, is what internet service providers are going to be buying, and they're going to be buying a lot of it. After the actual fiber is produced, the last step before it can get out the door of the plant is a whole bunch of quality testing. Testing each spool of fiber for all sorts of things, like making sure the glass won't break in the field or that the data in it is traveling perfectly through the glass.
Can I bother you for 2 seconds?
Sure.
Pay no attention to the microphone. Tell me who you are.
My name is Angel.
Hi, Angel. What are you doing?
I run the OTBR here.
What does that mean?
Well, it measures the attenuation, which is the span of light it goes through, and it reflects back. And it tells us if the length is accurate, it tells us if it has any defects in it, and if it does, we end up cutting it out.
Before I interrupted, Angel was connecting the ends of pieces of green and red fiber, monitoring the data passing through that glass, testing what we know as internet connectivity.
I'm going to try to get our splices close together so we can get it more accurate.
So you're just matching up the cut end to the cut end, right?
And then press enter and it runs through.
And it tells you what the signal loss is, it tells you how the splices are.
And it goes through the wavelength.
It tells you what the wavelength, right? 50-50.
Yeah, on each side, the green and then the red.
Man, this moves fast. How do you keep up? You know.
Angel's been at this for about 7 years now.
What's your background? Where'd you come from? How'd you learn how to do this?
I don't have a background in this. I actually was an administrative assistant before I come here.
And now you're doing this is high-tech stuff.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of cool, right?
It is pretty cool, yeah.
Reminder here, this Prysmian plant makes 12 million miles of fiber a year right now. And when the BEAD program is in full swing, they're going to have to scale that up. And creating lots of new manufacturing jobs like Angels along the way is part of what the federal government is counting on to make this investment work. After quality testing, the fiber goes out the door, and so did we. We took a long walk from clean rooms and super controlled temperatures, all white and gray machinery, down a ton of hallways with lockers and office motivational posters, to a totally different manufacturing facility, cabling.
Remind me who you are and tell me where we're going.
I am Tracy Overcash. I'm the plant director. I'm over the plant next door, and that's where we take the fiber that you just saw produced down here, and we enable it to live in the real world.
For that fiber we just saw to actually provide internet for businesses and homes across the country, it's got to keep working through rain and snow and all kinds of weather, or be able to be buried underground or pulled on phone poles, all without the glass breaking. This is what step 2 is for, the cabling plant.
My name is Stuart Parvis. I'm the operations manager. My role is to look after all of our staff that are here. We have about 130 direct laborers, and we help them to perform the job of transforming the fiber into cable, which then goes out to our customers.
This cabling facility has forklifts, garbled announcements over loudspeakers, jeans and T-shirts instead of lab coats. Everything they do here makes the reels of fiber bigger and also more dangerous. The biggest spools are 8 feet tall. They can weigh up to 7,000 pounds once they've got all that cable on them.
Okay, so somebody walk me through it. The fiber comes in, and then what happens?
Fiber comes in, it comes on down here to our buffering line. And the buffering line is the first step of the process.
Sorry, the buffering line?
The buffering line.
Tell me what the buffering line does.
So what the buffering line does is it takes the very thin fiber, which essentially is glass.
Right.
You want to make sure that that glass, when it gets out into the field, is protected from the elements and protected from the transportation and the handling. So step 1 is to wrap that fiber in a...
That's like a New York City subway announcement. I have no idea what she was saying.
It is a bit. Well, we repeat it twice so you can pick it up the second time. So our job is to protect that fiberglass and make sure that it's happy and it's going to do its job of transmitting data when it's in the tube.
Melting plastic into tubes around the fiber mean parts of this cabling facility are super hot.
It's a little smelly, I'm just going to say.
It is a little bit.
All right.
This is industrial work.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There are tape lines all over the floor of the cabling plant so you don't get too close to any of the machines.
Hey, Stuart?
Yes, sir.
Why does this trough have to be so long? This is like, 30 yards.
Now, the reason for the length of the trough is the time taken for it to cool down from a hot extrusion process.
Gotcha.
So this water, you can feel the water over here. If you put your finger in there,
they literally told us not to touch anything.
We'll let you touch it.
All right.
Feel it's chilled.
Oh, yeah. All right.
So it's at a specific...
See, that's what I'm saying. She's yelling. McCrae's yelling at me.
She keeps us safe.
Well, actually, she's yelling at you, but
These plastic tubes usually have 12 fiber strands inside of them, and then the tubes get wrapped up around each other, bigger and bigger. The last step of the process is putting the final layer around everything, the cable you actually see outside your house for your internet connection. In Prysmian speak, this is called jacketing.
We start to get nervous around the jacketing area because this is where the most value is on the reel.
Of course.
We've got to make sure that we get it through. You'll see this is what is called a ripcord. This is made of Kevlar, what goes into bulletproof jackets. And the Kevlar enables the operator in the field to tear it and expose the cable so that they can open it up and actually then splice it into their equipment.
It's like remember the old Band-Aids when we were kids, right? They had the Johnson & Johnson Band-Aids, had that red cord.
That's exactly right.
That never worked, actually, right? Remember
exactly
that?
Right.
Yeah.
We can also wrap it with armor. We have flame-rated flame-rated so that it's a fire-retardant cable.
Where the hell are they putting those fibers?
Nuclear power stations. We make special cable for nuclear power stations that can withstand the elements and risk characteristics of a nuclear power station.
These cables are labeled. The information's printed right on them so that field technicians know what kind of cable they're working with and how much fiber is wrapped up inside.
624, serial number, made in USA.
Yep.
How many kilometers of cable is on here?
I can tell you how many feet approximately because it's printed in feet. So there's probably about 40,000 feet on this cable.
On this one?
Yeah.
Oh, look at all this.
That's about 32,000.
32,114.
Yep.
It's interesting. They're working kilometers over there, and you guys do feet over here.
Well, we work in kilometers till we print it, and then we print it in feet because most of it stays in the U.S.
There you go. All right. Yep, makes sense.
That's Tracy Overcash again, plant director for cable. Pricing varies a ton on cable, from pennies to tens of dollars per foot, depending on things like how many fibers are inside. Overcash is also the guy in charge of how this plant is getting ready for the bead rollout.
So you're going to get busier.
We anticipate, yes, being busier.
Right.
And we're big on broadband, and we say only fiber's future-proof. These cables that I've showed you that we've made today, we're making those to be able to survive outside for decades. They have those kind of lifespan.
Here's the thing, though. You can't go more than 24/7. So what are you going to do?
Well, right now, if you walked around, you see we've got some lines that we can expand, bring on. We've got a plan to meet our forecast by hiring for about the next 3 to 4 months.
Do you have broadband at your house? Do you have fiber?
Hey, that's an interesting story. I've been working here since 1996, and I will tell you, in the last 60 days, somebody came down the road and put a fiber optic cable in my front yard.
It's there. You appreciate the irony.
I do. I appreciate the irony of it, and I will say that I'm looking forward to which cable they bring in my house. I'm watching.
You're
going to
check it out. You're going to go look at the serial number.
I'm going to see what the brand is. That's the first thing I'm going to look at it. Fiber optics is pretty popular here in Catawba County, and we're not the only show in town. But certainly happy to see fiber optics now. I would say later in my career, finally come to my home.
We're all set. Tracy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really
Glad to have
appreciate
you
it.
here
Super
today.
interesting.
Oh,
Super interesting.
28 years working in fiber, and Tracy is just now getting it to his house. In theory, there will be lots more homes like his over the next few years as the BEAD money flows from the federal government to the states, to the internet service providers that'll get homes connected using fiber and cable that they have bought from American manufacturing facilities like this one. That is, if these places can scale up, as they bet on government money getting out the door in an election year when the administration and federal priorities are subject to change. Coming up tomorrow on the program, the flip side of this supply chain, how the money is going to get where it needs to be on the ground in Kentucky to see what $1 billion can do.
Marketplace is supported by the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, a nonpartisan organization dedicated to raising awareness and accelerating action on America's fiscal challenges to build a brighter economic future for the next generation. Learn more at pgpf.org.
All right, we got to go. Our daily production team includes Andy Corbin, Lisa Hassan, Maria Honor, Sarah Leeson, Sean McHenry, and Sophia Terenzio. I'm Kai Risdall. We will see you tomorrow, everybody. This is APM.